Hello, this is Paul,
This is Audrey.
and week 4 of What's It Have. I just wanted to say it. This is the technical track. We're doing stretch and compression, redirection, and this is week 4, September 2019. So we talked about how to respond and react to the stretch and the compression that we initiate. So we started off with send out.
One of our themes for this class was that stretch is created by relative movement between people, and compression is also relative movement. The typical send out that you'll see, it looks like so. Rock,
Back,
step, hang.
do-ba-da, shoot-be-da.
And we're saying that you don't have to do that because you can also create relative movement by going forward. Run, da, I was going to say one, do. I'm like, run, da. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, and 7, and 8. So there's no difference between the two except that as a lead, you have to think about using this shorter distance to create a stretch that's smooth for the follow.
Yep. So we talked about how in the past follows have been hearing a lot. You got to sit back to create that stretch. And here we're saying that whether there is stretch created is intentional of who initiates what. And also, again, it's more about the relative movement between the two people. If I'm stationary and Paul moves, that looks like I'm sitting back, but that is, in this essence, creating stretch.
And I can also be stationary and have the follow move and create stretch that way with the rock step.
And that's because I am still moving backwards and he's anchoring me.
We also showed that through the same concepts of forward and backward rock steps and redirecting energy, you can do the following. Leads anchoring.
Da-gi-da, shoot-be-da, boo. Da-gi-da, shoot-be-da.
Switching places.
Da-gi-da, shoot-be-da.
Leads going.
Da-gi-da, ooh. Shoot-be-da, ooh.
So in those, all we're doing is using different amounts of force to plant as a lead, or to switch with the follow, or take all of the speed that the follow would have by crossing, and instead allowing the follow to plant, and you doing that same speed crossing.
We wanted follows to really be honest about where their momentum is. In this case, I have momentum back with the rock step, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I automatically move forward, because I can go backwards and then stay in place because the lead is the one moving, or the lead just absorbed that momentum. Alternatively, so that's because my hand stayed in place. And again, that's the same thing as when I stay stationary and the lead moves that way in order to create that stretch in a send out. That's another ways. Yep. And then we move to tuck turns.
Same thing. We can do forward and backwards rock steps in the tuck turn. This is the traditional one. So we do a rock step around here, loose hands, and we said in this specific type of a tuck turn, we are going to have some compression on the hand. It's one of the 3 main types of tuck turns. And we can also do a forward step on this. So forward step here. Now that's in the opposite direction, although it could be really any angle.
And one of the questions was what should we feel that's different? For the follows, it should feel mostly the same. The forward one might result in a little bit more of rotation, and that's because I'm moving so much more, and that means that we can have a lot more of a spinny tuck turn.
And then we also said that follows, you of course can choose to accept a stretch and compression, and it's same thing as when you initiate. A lead can decide to choose to accept that stretch and compression in classes 2 and 3. Here's an example of some pass-bys, some of which the follow decides they don't want to follow.
Shoot, da, gi, da, shoot, ba, da, ooh, ba.
I'm like, okay, that's fine. I felt that there was no force matched, and I accommodated accordingly. This could be for musicality, it could be for colliding with somebody, it could be shoulder hurting, anything.
Safety, I have a musical idea, again, also for the lead, just basically from the follow's perspective. How we do this, it's simply breaking frame. It's the same thing if a follow initiates something and the lead decides not to respond or provide that request, then they can just break the frame And so that is also why on the flip side, it is very important to have a good frame so that when you break frame, it is intentional. And again, when we say break frame, that means that our lats disengage.
Elbows can go behind the body in a safe, controlled way.
Yep.
So putting all those exercises together, including the one where the follow can initiate stretch and compression.
Yeah. Cool. So that last one was an example of how I decided to break frame so that I could control the speed of that turn. Cool.
Good job. There's a lot of really difficult material in this class, starting from balance, personal body control, lead and follows initiating, stretch and compression, all the way through to how do you initiate rotation and linear movement, forward, backward, rock steps, and intentionally killing your frame.
Great job. Thank you so much. Had a lot of fun and happy practicing.